Hey, I'm Ressa from Gaming Audio. Our team has been working on Pathologic 3 with the very legendary Vasily Kashnikov and his apprentice Nikolai. This video will feature some of the audio stuff we've made together. Thank you Bedtime Digital Games for making this festival happen. Our goal regarding audio direction was to give the player the real experience of being in an epicenter of an epidemic. Fully realistic, no bullshit. So we are obviously shooting this video in the town. We realized pretty early that the game was quite different from the original Pathologic 2 because of the time travel mechanics. So for the prototype we built the time travel machine, which appeared to be quite useful to record some source sounds and make this video in just half a second using the existing technology. Let's start with the music.
Hi, I'm Vasily Kashnikov, audio director of Pathologic 3 project. I'll tell you how our music is structured. We were already thinking about how the Bachelor's game would sound when we were working on Pathologic 2 and writing music for Haruspics. In Pathologic 2, the music had more ethnic, unreal motifs and instruments. Since the city and its customs are familiar with Haruspics since he was a child, he is involved in the traditional way of life. In the case of Pathologic 3, this is the view of an outsider who evaluates everything from the point of view of rationality and science. Therefore, we are trying to make the Pathologic 3 soundtrack colder and more detached from the steps and ethnicity in character. There is more synthesis, guitars at the same time. The Bachelor communicates with Zeus in power, so the soundtrack also contains a large share of minimalist so-called furniture music that could sound in the salons of the beginning of the last century, piano etudes and references to composers of that time, Satie, Debussy, etc. Thus, our soundtrack is a rather eclectic mix of trip-hop, down-tempo, ambient and minimalism. In the city, when the Bachelor is alone with himself, we emphasize the cold mind of the rhythm section, less emotional harmony and sometimes electronic timbres. In the rooms where we need to separate the main character from those he interacts with, we use more expressive harmonies and more classical instruments, piano and guitar passages. When we designed the interactive music system, we assumed that time is finite, and the music had to change depending on the amount of time the Bachelor had left. However, we later abandoned this system, and now the music changes depending on the state of the Bachelor himself, who can fall into apathy or psychosis. To emphasize these states, we apply filters and effects to different layers of our tracks and get a slower, muffled sound in the case of apathy and vice versa, nervous, glitchy in the case of psychosis. In the infected and rebellious quarters, there are also interactive systems that… Oh my god, Natalia, please stop this!
Whoops, sorry. But yeah, basically the audio system we created reflects everything we hear in the game, such as…
If we use our gun when dealing with the local thugs, the longer we aim the weapon at the people, the less sounds of the outside world we hear, and the louder becomes the heartbeat. To add the intensity, shepherd tone was used along with a high-pitched tinnitus sound. If the psychosis level goes to the maximum, it starts to damage Bachelor's health, which is accompanied by flashes on the screen, as well as low heartbeat and short breathing sounds.
In the infected and rebellious quarters, there are also interactive systems that change the character of the music by adding or disabling instrumental layers depending on the state of the world or the Bachelor's equipment to fight the plague. As a result, we have 12 tracks for each day spent in the city. They can freely switch between each other and several dozen other themes for locations and characters, and all the music is subject to change depending on the state of the Bachelor.
Since the game has the weather changing system, we also wanted to reflect that in our audio feedback as well.
The game has global wetness parameter that shows how intense the rain is. The more it rains, the more squishy and muddy are the steps on the outside surfaces. Moreover, if you come closer to the window, you can hear the rain pondering on the glass.
Because even in the middle of the plague, we always have some room for cozy moments, right?
My favorite part of that system, and it's a bit of an Easter egg by the way, is about the cows. So when it's raining, you can actually hear a very, very subtle sound of raindrops dropping on those bovine butts. And I personally think it's beautiful.
To create the actual sounds for the bovine But we hired our best ASMR sound designer.
Hi, my name is Artur and I was also involved in creating some sound assets for the game.
Probably the hardest thing to record were the footsteps. I had everything planned out, bought the equipment, gathered every type of surface, but there was one small thing I overlooked. I live in a city with over 12 million people. Noise everywhere. The solution was simple and genius. I recorded everything on a Sunday, because in Buenos Aires, Sunday is the one day when nobody does anything.
One of the most important places in the game is the cathedral. There we have a system of ladders that control the speed and the direction of time. Direction-wise, we can have it flow normally or reversed.
She's super professional.
As for the speed, we can make the time stand still, go twice as fast, or with the half of the normal
A little
speed.
faster, please.
We created an audio system that helps players to understand what is actually happening around
When
them.
we reverse time, spatial effects are added to the surrounding sounds. Ambience, steps, and the mechanism itself. When the time stands still, we increase the low frequencies in the ambience, and all the other sounds are muted to 0. And lastly, when the time goes twice as fast, or with the half of the original speed, the pitch of the surrounding sounds changes accordingly.
The coolest part of this system is that it's been actually implemented into the game engine using only one parameter.
Thank you for watching. See you here later.